In a luxurious VIP delivery room, a woman was about to give birth. She casually flipped through a magazine, but her patience soon ran out. She yelled at the nurses to get this kid out of her already, all while still reading her magazine. Suddenly, a baby's cry echoed through the room, and a staff member rushed out to congratulate the grandfather. Everyone then began congratulating Master Lu, who thanked his guests for their kindness. He asked a maid where Shi Quan was, and she replied that the young master had some business to attend to on Earth. The boy's grandfather was furious at his own son's absence, calling him a complete deadbeat. Just then, a strange scream came from inside the delivery room, startling everyone outside. Worried, Master Lu stood up and asked what the heck was going on in there. Meanwhile, inside the room, the mother stared in shock at the bright light shining directly in front of her. When the grandfather and his men entered, they froze in place. The light came from the newborn, who was covered in yellow lightning and seemed to be having a great time with it all. The baby thought that no one would have ever guessed a commoner would be reincarnated into this family and even awaken a divine sense. A system screen appeared, informing him that the lightning-type divine sense had been activated with sea-level power. The grandfather was stunned. His grandson had been born with a power he himself could never achieve. Dropping his cane, the grandfather shouted about the unparalleled innate divine sense his grandson possesses. He picked up the newborn and celebrated, declaring that the Liu Can has finally produced a once-in-a-generation genius. Yet the baby thought that he was going to use this chance to take everything from the clan and make sure his father never gets to reincarnate again. The maids commented on how the young master was already smiling and didn't even cry, which was a sign of a noble destiny. The elder promised to use the full power of the clan to raise the boy. The newborn, who was also the protagonist, thought that the last 6 months since he was taken out by that scumbag had felt like a dream. 1 month after reincarnating, his mother drank a special tonic given to her by one of her maids. As soon as she drank the tonic, a powerful golden light began to glow all over her body. He had gained an accelerated growth ability and reached D level even as just an embryo. He reflected on how commoners could never match the power of the clans, and how he had already reached a level that many risked their lives to achieve. Yet the protagonist wondered what kind of ability this was, as there were no records of accelerated growth.
2 months later, he faced an absorption crisis from the mother's original embryo, but received a reward. Using his accelerated growth, he devoured the original embryo and acquired its innate lightning-type divine sense. He was thrilled to have a lightning-type divine sense, which was one of the rarest elemental abilities. The protagonist planned to use the family's best resources to nourish himself and become even stronger. 3 months later, his lightning-type divine sense had already reached the intermediate stage of power. High heels and women's underwear lay scattered across the floor of his mother's bedroom. On the bed, a couple of pairs of feet were tangled up, getting pretty cozy. The woman was with a blonde guy while her son was still in her belly. The lover asked if she wasn't scared, and the lady said her marriage is just a political arrangement. The fetus overheard the man questioning his paternity while his mother just asked for more. The protagonist complained that all this commotion was messing with his energy absorption rate, so he ended up releasing a lot of energy at once, making her complain that it burned her from the inside. At 6 months, his power hit peak D level, and he understood his mother's constitution. A handsome and serene face was watching. The man observed the woman's belly and wondered when the darned brat was going to be born. Inside the womb, the protagonist opened his eyes and glared at his father with a look full of hatred. Through his vision, he reflected the man's face and called him a filthy mutt. In a flashback, the young man in his past life had been warned about terrible beasts. One of his injured companions told Brother Lu to get out of there as fast as he could. His friend was defeated and cried out for help, while the young man just watched. Unfortunately, his friend ended up being devoured by a hideous monster, while the young man watched it all happen. With a wicked smile, the traitor ordered his men to feed the beast to form the spirit core. The man smirked maliciously and mockingly as he watched his victim about to be defeated. At that moment, the young man noticed a giant spike coming his way, ready to strike him. His former companion impaled him with a huge branch, lifting him into the air without any mercy. The protagonist looked at the wound in his chest, shocked by the betrayal he had just suffered. The scumbag started laughing hysterically at his enemy's pathetic moment. He mocked him, saying that's what happens when someone like him overestimates his own strength. As he was thrown away, the young man accused him of tricking him just to feed the beasts. As he was passing on, his only worry was what would happen to his younger sisters. He remembered when he said goodbye to one of them, promising he'd be home soon. Soon after, his past self grabbed a weapon and got ready to leave for a mission. The door closed, and the three little girls were left alone, waiting for their brother to return. Looking at the moon through the window, the girls wondered when their big brother would come back. Back in the present, the fetus fueled with rage and swore revenge on the one who separated him from his sisters. With his power, the fetus prepared to punch his father, who was just outside. Then the little guy landed a solid punch right in the traitor's face, catching him completely by surprise. The impact of the blow sent the man flying, and the mother was shocked by the kick she felt. The boy's father fell to the ground in immense pain, not understanding what had just happened to him. The woman complained that the brat was already acting up before he was even properly born.
The grandfather then ordered the nurse to check what was happening inside that room. The staff member explained that the young master's talent was extraordinary, so his development was accelerated. She then revealed, startled, that the baby was about to be born and the mother was going into labor. The boy realized that before reincarnating, his limit was peaked DD level, and now he was close to a breakthrough. In immense pain, the mother screamed for them to call the best delivery team as quickly as possible. When the boy turned 1 month old, the Liu family threw a grand celebration banquet. Several important families from southern Zhao arrived, bringing gifts to celebrate the newborn. During the party, the grandfather watched a violin performance with a maid by his side. Meanwhile, the 1-month-old protagonist rested calmly in the arms of one of the maids. One of the guests congratulated Master Lao on having a grandson, but the elder seemed lost in thought. A guest congratulated the boy's father, while the baby stared at the man who had taken him down in his past life. He became furious seeing the enemy who had separated him from his sisters and swore revenge right then and there. In his memories, he remembered his younger sisters excited about a giant birthday cake. In his past life, he had been on the phone with Brother Chen, who was complaining about him being late for a mission. The young man apologized, and the traitor thought that he only hired him because of rumors that he needed money. The man advised him to use his brain, and the young man thanked him for the job opportunity. His sisters waited eagerly to eat the small piece of cake on the table. The older brother said goodbye to one of them, promising he had a job but would be back soon. Then he grabbed his weapon, which was kept in a bag, and prepared to leave the house. The door closed, and the three little girls were left alone, anxiously awaiting his return. From the window, the girls watched the moon while waiting for their dear brother to come back. Elsewhere, a man approached a glowing portal in the middle of a dark forest. Smoking a cigarette was the same one who had been congratulating young Master Ji at the party. Young Master Ji, who appeared to be the leader of this dangerous operation, stood with his subordinates. He asked how the mission was progressing. The man informed him that they had been inside for a while, and the beasts should be well fed by now. Young Master Ji praised Old Chen, saying he was raised well and was always very efficient. Then he turned to his female companion and said they came just for her before leaving. But the woman scoffed, saying he was just another lowlife from the Ji family trying to climb the ladder. With that, the group of traders approached the portal to leave the desolate place.
Meanwhile, one of the hero's companions warned him about a powerful beast nearby. The young master was surprised that someone was still alive, as he needed more food for the medicine. Old Chen said he didn't know how that was possible since they were all just D-level soldiers. Suddenly, a very loud noise caught everyone's attention, and they all looked in the same direction. The group's leader assessed the situation with a serious look. Soon after, they saw that one of the beasts had a fresh wound on its leg. The monster then glared at the hero who was standing alone in the middle of that desolate place. Despite being exhausted and injured, the young man stood firm, ready for the final battle. At that moment, one of the traders slowly approached. Young Master Ji demanded to know where the thing came from and how it dared to injure his beast. Upon seeing the survivor, young Master Ji was surprised and called him Yen. The young man turned and called out to Brother Chen, not understanding what was happening. Back in the present, the baby vowed to avenge the deep blood feud at that very moment. He extended his arms and made baby noises at the traitor who watched him intently. The man was speechless and stammered, trying to understand what the baby wanted from him. The boy's father said his son wants to be held and that this is the greatest honor of his life. With that, he picked up the baby and thanked him for the reward while the little one pretended to cry. As soon as the man held him, the little one started to release a yellow energy. Then he used his lightning-type power to give his enemy a really nasty shock. The traitor screamed in pain as the electric charge coursed through his entire body. From the shock, he ended up dropping the baby, who fell hard onto the mansion floor. The women at the party were startled and looked toward the noise. The musicians also stopped playing, shocked by all the commotion. The boy's grandfather watched everything with a serious expression. The boy's parents were shocked by what had just happened. The little protagonist on the floor realized he had just made a mistake. The baby started crying loudly to keep up appearances and fool everyone. The traitor panicked at the situation and started breaking out in a cold sweat, terrified of what might happen. Furious, the grandfather yelled at the man for daring to drop the Liu family's treasure on the floor. The coward threw himself on the floor, saying it wasn't him and that the young master acted on his own. But the baby's father didn't believe him and kicked him hard, calling the guy a dog. The kick was so strong that the man went flying and landed hard on the mansion floor. He started to bow and begged his master for mercy. He swore he would never hurt the boy and offered his treasures to heal him from the fall. The little one's father seemed to be enjoying the whole situation and gave a mocking smile. Then the master ordered them to drag the man outside and give him a good thrashing. The traitor thanked him for the punishment while the maid picked the baby back up. In the woman's arms, the little protagonist gave an evil, satisfied smirk at the result. With a bruised forehead, the enemy stared on confused, not understanding what had happened.
The little one continued to scream and cry loudly to maintain his perfect disguise in front of everyone. The old traitor was shocked again that he started crying again. The grandfather ordered the maid to take the young master inside and check if he was hurt in the fall. The elder scolded his son, saying that with the family's status, they didn't need a useless bum like that. With a disdainful snort, the head of the family turned and left the party furious about the whole mess. The boy's father was enraged by the old man's words and clenched the glass in his hand with great force. He shattered the glass cup with his bare hands. The host turned and delivered a powerful kick right to the traitor's face. Right after, he kicked him again and ordered him to be dragged outside and fed to the house dogs. The guards grabbed him as he begged for mercy, but no one cared about his suffering. The host told the guests to continue the party, and the baby thought about how to absorb more power. The doctor examined the little one and said he had an incredible physique and was perfectly fine. The grandfather laughed and celebrated that his grandson suffered no harm and was in excellent health. But the most important thing for the boy now was to find his 3 sisters he had left behind. He needed to grow up fast enough to move and get that woman's essence. The baby started crying for milk, and the doctor agreed. With that, the elder ordered them to call his daughter-in-law to breastfeed him and take more spiritual medicine. The boy's mother complained that she had just fed him and was already completely exhausted. The family head said she must work hard for the future of the clan and for the good of her son. The woman took off her coat and prepared to feed the baby once more, against her will. The little one opened his mouth and started crying as he waited to be fed by his mother. The mother picked him up and stared at him with her red eyes. She started to breastfeed him and complained that the little rascal was sucking way too hard. Seeing that his daughter-in-law was getting weak, the grandfather ordered them to bring her the tonic soup. Soon after, the baby was taking a bath with his mother in a hot spring. The woman complained that he had been sucking for a long time and asked if she owed him something from a past life.